You're the same. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Maybe you're a business owner and you believe that you understand and know these things. But do you really know this? I thought I did too, until I lost $160,000 learning this lesson. I'm Xavier Kelly, and I currently run a business that I've been running for the last 6 years. This business does and generates over $2 million in revenues. I've been in the business world for the last 10 to 12 years as an entrepreneur and working inside of startups. Currently right now, business that we've been in, we've done over 250 employees that I've managed in total. And I have basically put these lessons together to teach you what I've learned the hard way so you don't have to. The first lesson I want you to have is great performers don't always lead to great leaders. So you probably have that one person inside your business, person that drives the best, drives the trailer, shows up to work early, or they're in the bookkeeping, they're really good at sales, or whatever the things that you kind of do in your business. And you're probably thinking, this person is so good. I want everyone else to be like them. I need to put them in charge. I need them to lead, to help me grow my business. And you're probably thinking, what can go wrong? Well, I'll show you what can go wrong. So this first example, I'm gonna call this person Chris. Chris was an employee that we really enjoyed. It was probably one of our best ever delivery drivers by far. So Chris started out, was making not that lot of money at first, came in, busted their butt, went through the whole process and started just building their way through the ranks because they showed up on time, they did everything they were supposed to do, and they were very reliable. And then what happened is we started getting other people to come into the business. And as these other people came into the business, we start seeing that Chris is like better than 2 of these people, maybe 3 of these people. How can we get Chris to rub off on these people so that they can be, more like Chris? Just everyone wants to be like Chris. So that's kind of how we kind of thought this process was. And so our first thought was that we need to put Chris in a management position. And this is where I went wrong. But we put Chris in a management position, and we took Chris from doing the most important job that we had in the company at the time to putting him in a job where he was not the best. He didn't have a lot of experience on it. And we kind of took one thing that we had was really good for him and made it into a shell of a person who he was. Because we thought that because he was able to do the work, that he'll be able to manage the work very well. But what ended up happening is that Chris would just go do the work himself a lot of the times, or he would poorly manage the work to be done for the other people because he didn't have the management skills to do it. And really what Chris wanted to do was just to control his own destiny. And this is kind of one of the things where I realized in this gap right here, we should have led with more. Instead of trying to make Chris and bringing him into a delivery manager versus a driver, we should have took the step in between, which would have been being a driver lead. And if Chris would have been a driver lead from the very beginning, it would have made it a lot easier to transition into these other stuff. And Chris would also still probably be here at the company. Because what happens is when you move someone to a management level, and then you realize that they're not capable at the other position, you have to demote them and bring them down. And this leads to resentment, people being mad, and also to just ruining relationships across the board because you over-titleize them too early. Now the second example is Bob. So Bob was someone that we brought on. They came in just as a warehouse associate, which is to help out one of our branches and to go through the process of helping clean the chairs, keeping the warehouse organized. Bob was really good, fluent in 2 different languages, very good at helping find people and kind of bring people onto the team. And then Bob ended up kind of doing a couple things for us, stayed late a couple times, and we're like, oh, Bob's cool. We need to do something for Bob. What we should have did for Bob is give him a little extra money. What we did for Bob is give him a lot more responsibility. And then what happened is Bob was younger. Bob didn't have the skill sets because we didn't give him the skill sets and we over-titleized him similar as the last one. So we brought Bob on. Bob is now going to be the warehouse manager. And now Bob is the warehouse manager. And then Bob's working with people, and a lot of people he brought on were his friends. And Bob didn't have the skill sets to go through and be able to criticize or to be able to correct his friends' behavior that were brought in. So what ended up happening is that Bob played too friendly with them, and he covered for them a lot of situations, which left us open to get a lot of work not being completed. And when I think about Bob in a situation, we did him a great disservice because we didn't give Bob the resources or the time to help him develop as a manager before we stepped into this process. He was really a warehouse associate. He would have probably been a little better lead, but he had a large hole in the way between him being a manager, and it's a large gap. And it's another example, like we should have just made him a leader, not a manager. because he was able to lead by example, but he was not the person probably best suited to actually hand out, plans, structure, and actually create a structured environment for people to work in. So, we like Bob. Bob was really good, and I wish Bob the best in the world ever, but that was a big lesson for us, and we over-titleized too fast. Those are just two of many examples that I can give you. So the way we kind of came up with this right here, and that kind of what I kind of learned together, or me and my business partner or anyone on our team, is that before we ever give someone the actual position, we would need them to do the duties beforehand. And if you can't do the duties beforehand, then you can't have the position, or they should be already doing the position already. So when you have it in a situation where you're like, okay, like, can Jack or Jill or whoever do the position? It shouldn't be based off the merits of the position they're currently in, but it should be merit off the task that they're currently doing that is already in that position already. And so just taking this into effect and really like looking at that and kind of like isolating it and not jumping anyone from, like, no one jumps from associate to manager no more. And that's a big thing. Like, you need to become a lead first, and then when you become a lead and you show that you can do the manager's task, then you can jump to the manager's task. Because we just over-titleized a lot, which ended up costing us a lot of money. And I know we said $160,000, probably been, generous. I'm probably underestimating this right here, because this happens so many times. Just those two examples end up being $160,000 that we end up losing on just getting someone in here and just basically throwing out a team member out into the wolves, because we didn't do the right things in place and we over-titleized them. So what we learned is we just don't over-titleize. We leave room for growth in people's careers. No two-step jumps. And also too, if you move someone from associate, maybe the next thing is associate number 2, where they'll get paid more, they have a little bit more responsibilities. So we don't do huge jumps of responsibility. You do a little bit, and you do a little bit at a time, and you keep stacking up until they're already doing the lead work. And now you're looking back and say, okay, now I can get in the lead title. And then for the lead title, you do lead 1, lead 2, and you keep building them up until they get to the point where, like, they're already doing the management title. They can move over. And every single time you do a position, especially if you're doing a big movement from, I don't mean like crosswise, but when you do it from like one position to a position above it, still have the interview process and still interview people, because what it will show you and what it would do for you, it would make it show you exactly what's out there for that position and what other people can do, and be able to see if the person that you have is just recency biases and you just like them because they work with you and they've done things for you, or is it actually that they're good for the position? Now, to simplify this right here, what we would do differently, I know we kind of said it a little bit, we would not over-titleize any of our employees. No one goes from warehouse to manager. Every position that is going, that is a not just a bump in pay, but a bump into a different actual title, would be something that you would have to interview for with other interviews that are outside the company to actually validate that you understand the position. And if someone's doing really well in a position, instead of trying to pay them by going to a different position, find ways to incentivize them to do better in the position that they're already doing well at. Obviously, there's always exceptions to this, and every person is different, every situation is different. But this is what I have learned in my experience and learning it the hard way. And my whole goal is to give you the lessons without the scars. One easy lesson that you can avoid is having a good website, or at least having a website at all. My software is one that I've created over the last 6 years running our business, and we currently run all of our business on top of it. It's called Service More Pro. Also Rent More Pro if you're in a rental company. This software is a website that will help you attract more customers, get more leads, and make more money. So if you're interested into that, check the link down below. But if you really want to figure out how to grow your business, make sure you guys subscribe and watch the next video.